So, CGPL Autumn 2016 starts tomorrow night, and I thought I'd give a bit of a preview about what I think is going to happen in the season coming up, and also to talk about some of the things that have happened in the off season, because there's been a lot of stuff that's gone on, lots of lineup changes, lots of drama, and all that jazz that we love to talk about within the last few weeks. So, this should be a reasonably long video compared to my other ones, but if you do want to sort of skip to anything, by all means do that. I'll put some timestamps in the description box below. But to start us off, we will, I guess, go through, the basics of how the broadcasting is going to work and all that sort of jazz. So tomorrow night, obviously, is the night, and the first match is going to be at 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, so Sydney, Melbourne time. And the first match is going to be XL5 up against Fighting for Freedom, and that will be on CGPL Event, or twitch.tv/CGPL Event. And of course, the other game tomorrow night is Vox versus Corvidae, and that is going to be at 8 o'clock Daylight Savings Time on twitch.tv/slash. I don't even know. I can't say slash tonight. Anyway, twitch.tv/CGTV_CSGO. So obviously, we need those two channels because there's going to be so many games going on at once that we are going to need to have two channels going at once. But rest assured, we will be casting every single game of the season, which is going to be fantastic. First time that's ever happened for any sort of CGPL in any game, which is awesome. And also, the other great thing about it is that it's going to be on the same nights every week as well. So Sunday night, Monday night, and Thursday night are going to be CGPL CSGO nights, and you can check those out. Don't think there's going to be specific times just yet, but it will be in the evening between, I guess, like 6 p.m. start time and maybe like 8:30, 9 o'clock start time. So somewhere in that realm on Sunday, Monday, and Thursday nights. So really good to be able to get sort of a consistent schedule going on. It's going to be good for us as casters as well. We'll be able to get some storylines going, and we'll be able to get a bit more familiar with the teams, and as we head into the LAN, we'll be able to get that casting practice going on as well. So it should be, just a fantastic season in general from a broadcasting point of view, and as well, heading into the LAN, I expect we'll have some top-notch casting going on there. Obviously, you would have seen the talent announcement, and that's, I guess, who's going to be casting this season will be myself, Mike Star, PK, PDG, Jimenez, and I believe we'll also have Sandman coming in for a bit as well. So really good lineup coming out there as well. Very excited to work with all these guys as we broadcast the season. But moving back to tomorrow, both those matches, X5 and Fighting for Freedom and Vox and Corvidae, they're going to be some really interesting matches to start us off. They should be crackers to get the season underway. And hopefully, everyone will be able to tune in and check them out. But obviously, to I guess, keep our eyes on the prize, I'll just speak briefly about the LAN Finals, which will be at the Australian Technology Park in Sydney, which is where every CGPL has been, I believe, for the last few years. That's going to be on the 16th and 17th of April. So it's going to be a really good time. You should come down, check it out. Spectating is going to be free, of course. And there's not just going to be CSGO there. There'll be Rocket League, Smite, and Call of Duty as well. So big event. Probably the biggest CGPL that I've been involved in. And I have to say, I think it's going to be the biggest CGPL in history, as far as I'm aware. And just quickly, I'll mention $12,400 prize pool for CSGO alone. And that's like all the divisions, not just Premier, but still quite a good number to be looking at. The first place for CGP gets $3,500 as far as I'm aware. So quite a reasonable prize pool coming out there for these guys to have a sniff at. But now that we've kind of got all that out of the way, moving on to more of the CSGO related things. And the first thing I want to discuss is Nuke will not be part of the map pool for CGPL this season, which is, depending on your point of view, disappointing or a good thing. Obviously, we know Nuke has some issues with the optimization, and I guess no one's really played it in a competitive setting just yet, so we don't know how it's going to be played out. Obviously, there's some word on the street that it's pretty T-sided, but again, these things can change Anyway, we won't be seeing it in CGPL, which for me is a little bit disappointing because I like to see those new maps coming out. It's always fun to see how teams negotiate those sorts of things. But regardless, it won't be in the map pool, so I guess I'll just move along. Not really much to say. So, in terms of the season in general, I think we can pretty much, not the season, the teams rather, in the season, I think we can kind of forget really what has happened in the last year or so of Counter-Strike from a team perspective, because most of the teams have had 2 or more lineup changes, which is quite significant in a team of 5. So it's kind of like we're being given a clean slate here for 2016, which is, I guess, good timing, because CGPL is starting up, you know, new year, new season, all that sort of jazz. We'll get everything underway and really start to build up some new storylines and that sort of thing regarding these teams. And I don't really even think that any of the previous Div 1 teams have remained untouched. So some of the, I guess, the longest running teams, or the longest surviving teams, I don't know, however you want to call it, are those teams that have qualified through, you know, the likes of Corvidae and all that sort of jazz. Citadel, I think, as well, one of those teams. So anyway, whatever. Everyone's changing, and it's going to be a really interesting season because of that, because, you know, we don't really know what to expect. Obviously, you can look at the players and be like, oh, this team will do well, this team will do well, but you don't know 100% for sure until you see the team play. So, very excited to get this season underway and see how things are going. And I guess one of the big news is, or whatever you want to say, from the off-season is that Legacy is gone, disbanded, dead, whatever you want to call it. So they were kind of rated as the 3rd best team in Australia by the majority of the community, I think. So they're gone, which is going to give some more teams the opportunity to move up into that slot and, you know, make a name for themselves. So hopefully they'll be able to do that. Legacy obviously splitting ways and joining some different teams as well. So obviously we'll see some of those players still in Div 1. But, I mean, there's not really a whole lot to talk about in that respect. So we'll move on, I guess, to the big drama of this week, and that is Infrequent's ban, which is very disappointing if it's true that he was cheating. Because for me, Alpha Sydney was one of those teams that was very up and coming. They looked like a team that could really do some damage in Div 1. You know, they took a game off Immunity. It was the best of 1 online, but not many teams can say they've done that anyway. They took Chiefs to overtime as well, so a team that looked like they really had something going for them, and that they could be a good team in a few months. But all of that has changed now. Infrequent's banned, and I guess best case scenario in the grand scheme of things is that it comes out that Infrequent wasn't cheating and that he gets unbanned. But whether or not that is going to happen remains to be seen. I believe he's disputing the ban, but again, from my opinion, why would you ban someone if you weren't 100% sure? So the chances of him being unbanned are slim to none. We'll see. Hopefully for the rest of the team, they'll be able to find a new 5th and continue competing. But, you know, maybe they'll just be like, oh, well, we're done. See you later. So I guess enough of that discussion. You know, there's a massive thread on CG, which pretty much covers everything you could ever hope to talk about in that respect. So I'll leave it. If you want to read more about it, go look on CG. Next topic is the Chiefs. Now, obviously, they've had a bit of a roster change with Snakewell / Lightstep leaving for Fighting for Freedom, and they're going to have a new lineup. Fantastic. Maybe. Who knows? It's Dexter, Burn, Chriso, Mungo, and Destiny. I think they've also got Gaza in there somewhere as a coach, manager, who knows what. Dexter, as far as I'm aware, is going to be the in-game leader. But, you know, I feel like the identity of this team is going to change a lot now that Lightstep is gone. So whether or not they're going to be able to keep that run of form that they had coming in this previous year, coming into this year, is going to be a big question. They still have that core 3. But again, I feel like Lightstep was a big part of that team. So we'll see whether or not they can continue to perform to the same level. Obviously, they're like sort of number 2, number 1, number 2, probably number 2 in the Australian scene at the moment. But anything can change, and that's the beauty of this upcoming season. We pretty much don't know what's going to happen. And speaking of not knowing what's going to happen, Team Immunity, what the fuck is going on with their roster. No one really knows what is happening. At the moment, they have 3 players on CG in their team, which is Ricky, Imagine, and James. Sniper's gone from the team, according to CG, and according to the rumors that I've heard. So that's already a big change there for Team Immunity, and the bigger picture is sort of like who's going to replace him and who's going to replace Ustillo, who obviously we know has gone over to Renegades. 2 slots open in Team Immunity. Word on the street is it'll be Sicko and Zuzi. Whether or not that's true is unconfirmed, and hopefully we'll be finding out tonight or tomorrow before the season starts. Because, you know, it's crazy to me that teams are still not finalized literally a day before the season starts. Whatever, I'm not going to get into that discussion. Hopefully for Immunity they get some good players and they're able to continue competing at the top level. But again, we'll have to see. So it's kind of like a wait and see pudding at the moment. You know, when you ask your mum what's for dinner and she says wait and see pudding, well, that's what it's like with Australian Counter-Strike right now. So waiting and seeing. And on that topic, fighting for freedom and sort of the hype around them, a lot of people are sort of speculating that they are going to be one of those top teams, top 4, top 2, potentially. And again, we're going to have to wait and see how they perform. Obviously, they performed pretty well to get into Div 1. Oh, and by the way, if you didn't know who the lineup is, it's Havoc, APOC, Offnu, SnakeWow, and Top Gun. So, you know, a lot of experience on that lineup. And when you look at that team on paper, you go, yeah, this is a strong lineup. But again, on paper and in-game don't necessarily translate to the same thing. So we'll see what they can do and whether or not they can do some damage. I would expect that they can. But again, wait and see pudding. Overall, I would have to say I think that if Immunity picks up Sicko and Zusi, that'll be a strong team. Chiefs look pretty good, but you know, we haven't really seen this group of players working together yet, so we have to see how they play. Fighting for Freedom, they look like a team that can do some damage. Vox, again, another one of those teams that I feel like are you know, a team that should do well, but they never seem to be able to, I guess, play to the potential that I feel that they have. And speaking of Vox, by the way, they've had some roster changes as well. Nova apparently is going to be their sub/6th, whatever you want to call it. Nerox and Gunlock are now in the lineup, so it's Moe, Kozi, Herbs, Nerox, and Gunlock. So again, a team with some really good-looking players in them. But whether or not they can deliver on that hype is another question. So we'll have to see tomorrow, at least in terms of Vox. They'll be playing Corvidae, as I mentioned, at 8 o'clock on CGTV_CSGO. Fighting for Freedom is going up against XL5 at 7:30 on CGPL event. So both of those games should be really good games, and they should be giving us a good indication of how this season is going to go for both of those teams. But that's going to be pretty much it from me. Don't forget to follow the 2 Twitch streams and also subscribe to CGPL event, because that's going to help us get a bit more cash into the scene, get the LAN funds for the casters probably. So if you want to support us getting to LAN, please do subscribe to twitch.tv/CGPL underscore, not CGPL underscore, just CGPL event. I'll put descriptions, of course, in the description, links in the description box below. So follow and sub to CGPL event and CGTV_CSGO. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter. It's @ElfishGuy, and subscribe to me on YouTube. That's very much appreciated. And please do tune into the CGPL coverage this season, because if this season goes well and we have lots of viewers for the entire season, I'm very sure that whatever the next CGPL is called, I believe it's like Winter, CGPL Winter, is going to be massive. So definitely tune into that, sub, follow, do everything, spam it on Twitter, etc, etc, and I hope everyone really enjoys it. So see you guys later, and I'll see you tomorrow night on the stream.